Hey.
How are you doing, Alexa?
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to finally meet you. So I'm Celia. I'm the dietetic intern that's going to be working with you today.
Awesome.
How are you
I'm
doing?
doing well, thank you. Excited to learn just more about just maintaining a balanced diet and just even a healthier diet as well.
Okay, cool. So that's kind of what brings you in today.
Yeah.
Were you doing anything fun this morning? Got anything planned later?
Stuck in a little bit of traffic getting here,
Aw,
but
man.
excited to be here and excited
it's
to
raining
just learn
out.
more. I know.
That's
Crazy.
Yeah.
Out of
Okay.
nowhere, but
Yeah, we made it in safely. Well, I'm happy that we can get started on time today. Cool. So you made an appointment with me for just a nutrition assessment for just general health. So tell me a little bit about why you're interested in learning about what you're eating, kind of what you hope to get out of that.
yeah, I think just being able to learn what that means to eat a balanced diet, just coming off from the holidays and just snacking a lot and not really eating a well-fit diet. I just want to be able to just having a better idea of that so I can plan, but also be able to execute it
Okay.
just on a daily basis. So just more of like eating food and not just snacking all throughout the day.
Wow, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so, well, thank you for sharing that. So what I hear is that in the past you were eating a lot of food during the holidays, and we'll talk a little bit more about what your idea of healthy is, what you would like your diet to look a little bit more like, but also you say that you snack throughout the day and you want to be able to execute an actual balanced diet well, correct? Okay, so in your opinion, what do you think a healthy diet looks like?
I definitely think balance is key. I think being able to have a little bit of everything from carbs to protein to fat, but just having a set amount, so not going over, not going under,
Okay.
and just being able to just diversify at each
Yeah.
meal with that.
Sure. So that's awesome. You know a little bit about macronutrients, carbohydrates, protein, things like that. Okay. Do you have a set amount that you sort of hit? Do you track your diet, or that's not something that you know much about?
Not really, not
Okay.
too much.
Cool. Well, yeah, we can talk about
Awesome.
something called the dietary allowances,
Okay.
and that's set by the USDA. So we can talk about what amounts you should be getting for each macronutrient. A little bit of that. That's good to note. Okay, and then you also said that you are interested in eating more diverse foods.
Yeah.
So do you believe that your diet right now is diversified, or what do you enjoy about the way that you're currently eating? Something good about it.
I think something good would be definitely trying new things, but I think just being able to implement that at every meal, not just like maintaining something, or not just like staying with the same thing, but being able to almost switch up, just different options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say with like fruits and vegetables and protein sources, things like that? Okay. So you're interested in finding diversity.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. And what is something about your eating habits that you do not feel comfortable with? There's something that you would really like to change.
I definitely think snacking for sure, but I think also just overindulging in sweets. I think I could also cut back a little bit on that as well. So just being able to, I think almost know too when I'm full and not being able to overdo it.
Okay. Wow. So satiety is the word for that.
Okay.
So satiety is something that we often don't like to listen to because food tastes so good and we don't want to stop. But yeah, okay, so knowing the right amounts, and you said sweets are kind of something.
Yes.
Very cool. All right, and so what is one thing that you hope happens in this counseling session today?
I think just having a better understanding, especially just how to read food labels.
Oh, okay.
I think just because that can give you a better insight to what you're buying, and being able just to have a better idea of that, so when I'm trying to make a meal, I'm able to keep track of what I'm putting in my body instead of just eating it to eat it.
Yeah. So do you know much about food labels already?
I know a basic understanding, but I wouldn't say a complex, or being able to like tell the difference between two different things, or trying to like compare and contrast.
Compare and contrast two products. Okay, very cool. Well, we can definitely do a little bit of work with, reading food labels, but also differentiating between two products, deciding what would be better fit for your goals. If that's something you're interested in.
Yeah.
Cool. So just as a little assessment, so say from a 0 to a 5, what would you say your knowledge is on reading food labels, or your knowledge of just being able to break that down? So 0 being you don't know anything, any words on a food label, and 5 being you've taken science courses, you know every word, like you're confident in it.
I'd probably say like a 2.
You're about a 2 right now? Okay.
Yes.
Very cool. I appreciate the honesty, and that's something that we can definitely work on. Well, you've given me a lot of great insight
Awesome.
to how you're currently eating, and I'd love to dive into more specifics about what your daily intake looks like. So
Okay.
we're going to do something really quick. It's called a 24-hour recall.
Yes.
So this is just going to help me gather a little bit more information about what your daily diet looks like.
Okay.
So starting with midnight yesterday,
Yes.
and thinking of all the food you had from the time you woke up to the time you fell asleep, we'll just begin with that, and then I'll be going back and grabbing some details in between to
Awesome.
get more information.
Yeah. So
What time did you wake up yesterday?
I woke up around 5:36. I
Okay.
would say. In that general time, and then I had oatmeal.
Yeah.
My favorite oatmeal with milk, and then that was about it for breakfast. I didn't really
Okay.
have a heavy breakfast.
Okay.
And then lunch, I had 2 slices of pizza with a salad, little like side salad, and then for dinner, I had a chicken salad.
Mhm.
Actually. I usually don't have that on a daily basis, but eat a
Okay.
little healthier yesterday.
Okay.
But I did have a lot of snacks in between. That was something I did notice yesterday, just from granola, like little granola bars to like Oreos or just
Okay.
like whatever I could find.
Right,
yeah.
right. So you would say that yesterday was a typical day of eating, or a little atypical for you?
Maybe not as healthy as usual, but definitely
It's a little
snacked a little
healthier
bit.
than normal?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Definitely snacked a lot more than usual.
Okay. So you said you ate a little healthier, but you snacked a little more.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Well, thanks for giving me that information. I'm gonna grab a couple more things like serving sizes and
Yeah.
where those snacks fell throughout the day. So when you woke up at 5:30 or 6,
Mhm.
did you have any coffee, tea, orange juice, anything in the morning? Water?
I had a cup of orange juice.
Okay. And we're gonna use like our fist to estimate about a cup or 8 ounces. So would you
Mhm.
say you had more or less of than 8 ounces of orange juice?
I'd probably say less.
Okay. Less than 8 ounces. If you had to estimate like 5 or 6,
Probably 6.
6 ounces.
Just
And what
below.
kind of orange juice was it? Do you know?
I think it was
Whole
Minute
or
Maid.
Minute Maid? Okay. And there was pulp in it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then you said you had a bowl of oatmeal.
Mhm.
Did you add anything to the oatmeal?
I added a banana.
Okay. A full banana?
Yes.
All right. Was it a medium piece of fruit, very large banana, or like tiny,
I
small?
would say
fingers?
medium.
Okay, medium.
Yeah.
And it was just plain oats that you made yourself?
Yes.
Okay. And how do you use a scoop, or do you know how much you normally add?
I think I used 2 scoops of oatmeal, and then added whole milk to it.
Whole milk. Okay.
Maybe
And
like a cup. Yeah.
A cup of
I would say.
oatmeal,
Or sorry, of milk.
Okay.
Yes.
1 cup of milk, and what about with the oatmeal?
What would that be? Probably like 2, maybe.
Okay.
Or like one. Actually, that's a lot. Probably like 1.5.
So when it was cooked, you would say it was about 1.5 cups of
Yes.
oatmeal? Okay.
Yes.
1.5 cups. Awesome. And to let you know, there are no right or wrong answers
Okay.
when we're doing this. So no good or bad foods or spectrum of
Mhm.
foods. Everything has a place. Everything fits. There's just the fact of what you did have or what you did not.
Yeah.
So cool. So you had breakfast at 6 a.m. Nothing again until lunch, or did you grab for a couple snacks in between?
I had a couple snacks in between.
Okay. What were those?
A couple of granola bars. So like the little kind bars.
Okay.
And
Great.
then
How many did you have?
like 1, and then the other 2 were just like regular granola bars.
The
I can't think of what they're called.
the little apple cinnamon
Yes.
green ones.
Yes.
Okay. So you had 2 of those
Yes.
and 1 kind bar. Okay.
Mhm.
Any waters before lunch?
Yes.
Some water.
Some water.
Do you keep this refilled throughout the day?
Mhm.
About how many would you say you have throughout the day?
Probably like 4, I would say.
4 times refilling
Yeah.
this entirely. Wow. I like it. Very cool. Okay. And then nothing again until lunch?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the granola bars and then lunch. And then I think after lunch, I had 2 brownies.
Okay. After lunch, 2 brownies. And did you prepare the pizza, or was that something that was catered, ordered?
Yeah, so that was catered, so I didn't prepare it, so I wasn't sure of what was exactly in it.
Okay. You're not sure where they were from or anything?
I'm not.
Okay. Were they little skinny slices, about a regular slice, or something large?
Pretty big.
Okay, 2 big slices.
Pretty big slices. Yeah.
Did they have cheese, vegetables, meat?
Yes. So it was cheese with chicken.
Okay, cheese, chicken, and
tomatoes, lettuce,
nice.
and yeah, some more cheese.
And did you dip your pizza in anything?
I did use ranch.
Okay.
And for the salad as well.
Okay, and so for the ranch, we're going to estimate our
Yes.
thumb is about a tablespoon. So would you say you had 1, 2,
Probably 3.
3 tablespoons of ranch? Okie doke. And then the salad, what
Yes.
all was in there? I'm assuming that was catered as well.
Yes.
Okay.
So it was already pre-made. So it had like tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots, broccoli,
Broccoli. Any dressing?
ranch as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with our 2 hand sizes that we used,
Yes.
about how much salad and how much dressing did you have on that?
I would say about 1 cup of salad and like 2 tablespoons of ranch.
1 cup and 2 tablespoons. Awesome. And did you have any drinks with lunch?
Just water.
Just water. So then 2 brownies after that.
Yes.
Did you make the brownies, or is that also something that you?
It was already pre-made, so I didn't know.
Okay. What all was in the brownies? Any chocolate chips or?
Yes, chocolate chips.
Okay.
I think that was, yeah, just chocolate chips.
Okay. And could you estimate about the size of the brownie? You said you had 2.
Pretty big. I would say probably like, yeah, like that size.
2 that were like would equal a little bit more
Yeah.
than a cup, or 8
Mhm.
ounces. Okay. So maybe 16 ounces of
Yeah.
brownies. And then chicken salad for dinner, correct?
Yes.
Any other snacks after lunch before you had dinner?
Some Cheez-Its.
Okay.
So like one of those, the bag that comes in
Mm-hmm.
the Cheez-Its.
And that was just a personal size bag or a
Yes.
big bar? Okay.
Personal size.
And sorry, was that regular Cheez-Its or any kind of special?
Just regular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Regular. Alright. And then, so you had 1 personal size bag of Cheez-Its, and then you had chicken salad for dinner.
Yes.
Was it chicken salad that you made?
Yes.
Okay, you made it yourself, so go ahead and let me know what kind of preparation you used.
Yeah.
Cooking methods.
I'm trying to think. Oh, the chicken was pre-made, sorry.
Pre-made chicken.
I forgot about that. Yeah, the chicken was pre-made, and then the lettuce I just got out of a bag.
Okay. So with your pre-made chicken, are you buying it like rotisserie style, or was it how are you purchasing it?
So it was already cut up.
Okay.
And I got it at Trader Joe's in like a little like bin. So it was
Gotcha.
just I could just take it right out and
Okay,
put on
and
my salad.
Was it already sliced and
Yes.
grilled strips?
Yes.
Okay, so it was grilled.
Mhm.
Do you know if the skin was on or no?
No.
Awesome. So how I'm gonna ask you a few questions here. So I
Yeah.
know you prepared it. Did you eat everything that you prepared, like just for your salad?
Yes.
You did eat everything. Okay, so about how many strips of chicken did you use?
I would say about like, cause they were pretty big. So I'd say probably like 4
4
or 5.
ounces. Okay, so when we're measuring meat, we can actually use
Yes.
the palm of our hand.
Okay.
And so either the palm of our hand is 3 ounces or about the size of a deck of cards.
Okay.
So you could say more or less than 3 ounces by looking at that.
I would say a little bit more than 3.
Okay, like from 4 to 5.
Yeah,
like
probably
closer to 7.
4 to 5.
4 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay, 4 to 5 ounces of chicken.
Mhm.
All right. And then you had some lettuce.
Yes.
Underneath that, what kind of lettuce did you use?
So I had spinach. So it was like, I would say probably about a cup.
1 cup of spinach.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you put any other vegetables or anything on it, toppings?
I did not.
No cheese or
Just
anything?
plain.
Okay.
And then just ranch with it.
Ranch, okay.
Yes. And that's probably, I'd say probably like 3
3 tablespoons. And are you using regular ranch or like a low fat, buttermilk, anything?
I think it was buttermilk.
Buttermilk ranch.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you ate the entire salad?
Yes.
Okay. Anything to drink with dinner?
I did have a soda.
Soda? What kind of soda did you have?
I had a Sprite, so like the can of Sprite.
Mm-hmm. So the personal can?
Yes.
Okay. Those are 16 ounces, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So 1 can.
Yeah.
And any other snacks or drinks before you went to sleep?
Just water.
Water again?
Yeah.
All right. And then what time did you end up going to bed?
Around 10:30.
10:30. Nice. Okay. So I'm going to read this back to you. Before I do that, a couple commonly left out items would be things like candies, little chocolates or gum, any kind of desserts or breads. If any of this jogs your memory, let me know.
Okay.
Some savory snacks too, like chips, pretzels, popcorn. People often will like pick out of a bag and not even remember that they did that.
Yeah.
So anything like that, or juices that you've left out. None of that is ringing a bell.
I'd say probably like a bag of pretzels.
You did have a bag of pretzels somewhere in there.
Yeah.
About what time do you remember eating that?
Probably around like 2.
Okay.
I would say. Like
So
around
before dinner?
afternoon. Yeah.
Okay. So you maybe ate a couple pretzels.
I'd say like a bag, like the personal size
Oh,
bag.
a personal bag.
Yes.
Okay. And those were just regular like Snyder's brand pretzels or something, like the curly.
The curly ones.
Okay.
Yes.
Mini.
Just regular.
Regular. Okay. Awesome. Cool. And that's all that you can drink throughout the day. Any other non-alcoholic drinks that you can recall? Sodas, juices. You said the one Sprite.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that was about it.
That was about it. Any alcoholic beverages? That's another commonly missed thing.
No.
Throughout the day. Nothing yesterday. All right. Any milk or anything like that?
Just
Besides
the
what
milk
you had
with
for
the
breakfast. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read this back to you, and if anything sticks out that you think we've forgotten, let me know.
Awesome.
So you woke up at 5:30, had the 6 ounces of orange juice. It was Minute Maid. There wasn't any pulp in there, correct?
There was pulp.
There was
sorry.
pulp.
Yes.
Okay. Then you had about a cup and a half of oatmeal that you made yourself with whole milk. You added 1 medium banana, and it was a cup of whole milk.
Yes.
Then you had 1 Kind Bar, the mini-sized Kind Bar. Was that like dark chocolate or caramel?
Yes. Dark chocolate.
It was dark chocolate. With almonds. I think I know the one you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So you had 1 small Kind Bar, and then you had 2 of the apple baked granola bars.
Yeah.
I believe those were like Nutri-Grain or something.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Then you filled up your water bottle about 4 times yesterday, had all of that water, and then throughout the day for lunch, you had 2 slices of pizza. There was chicken, vegetables, lots of cheese, pretty big. You had about 3 tablespoons of ranch with the pizza slices, but then 2 tablespoons of ranch on your salad, which was also pre-made with the tomatoes, carrots, broccoli. You had about a cup of that salad, correct? Okay. Then after lunch, you had those 2 brownies that were about a cup worth, and then a bag of pretzels, regular sized pretzels. Okay. Some more water, and then at dinner time, you had a chicken salad. You also had a bag of Cheez-Its before dinner, correct? Okay, and then on your salad, you had spinach, grilled chicken strips from Trader Joe's, and then about 3 tablespoons of ranch on that, and a 16-ounce can of soda.
Yes.
Okay, nothing else throughout the day?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not that I can recall.
Okay, awesome. Well, cool. That gives me a picture of what you ate yesterday and what we can work with, although you said that's not typically what your daily diet would look like, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if this was a typical Wednesday for you, what would have been different?
I'd say probably a little bit more of snacks, and then
More snacks.
dinner might have been. I would say dinner and lunch would be a little bit smaller.
Okay.
Especially lunch.
Okay.
On the smaller end. And definitely more snacks. Yeah.
Okay.
And dessert.
So you would have more snacks and more dessert throughout the day. And that was something that you were unsatisfied with the way you eat. At times you feel like it's a little too much.
Yeah.
And, it's more of just a satiety thing.
Yeah.
You believe? Okay. All right. Well, we can definitely work into that, talk more about it.
Awesome.
Have you ever heard of MyPlate before?
I've not.
You've never heard of MyPlate? Okay. So I have this graphic here for you to look at.
Okay.
So this is MyPlate, and essentially this is what the USDA believes that individuals should be eating throughout the day. So every meal should kind of mirror this plate, and I'll give this to you to take home with.
Awesome.
I'll give it to you to take home with you to refer to when you're building your plates.
Awesome.
But what we're going to shoot for is our entire plate. Half of it would be fruits and vegetables. The other quarter would be 3 to 4 ounces of some sort of lean protein. And we can talk more about what that seems like to you. Do you have an idea of what lean protein is?
Not really.
Not really?
I wouldn't
Okay.
say like the full,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lean protein source, and I've got plenty of handouts here that go into that.
Awesome.
But a lean protein is going to be something with less fat. So we think of typically red meats as being fattier, and they're less healthy for our heart. They can start clogging our arteries, and so people that have heart diseases and things like that will be recommended to eat lean sources.
Okay.
So that's going to be things like chicken, fish,
Yeah.
tuna, salmon, things like that, turkey. So shooting for a lean protein that would fit about like a quarter of our plate, and then we would have a grain or a whole grain in the other quarter in the bottom. So do you know what whole grains are? Have you heard of whole grains before?
I guess you could explain a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're having this session.
Yes.
So we want to cover all these bases first before we move to actually what a food label is.
Awesome.
So whole grains versus quick digesting carbohydrates. So any grain is going to be a carbohydrate, and that's what we're going to look at on our food labels, correct?
Yeah.
So our whole grains are going to be grains that have the outer casing of the grain. So when grains are harvested, this is a lot of agriculture information that you probably don't need to know, but just for a visual picture, the whole grain has the entire outer casing of the grain enclosed when it's processed. Now, quick white flours and sugary foods are going to just be the inside filling of the grain. So you can think of things that aren't whole grains, just white breads and things like that, to be like donuts, cakes, cookies, things that are sugary and quick digesting. Now, what that does to our body, it makes our blood pressure spike, our blood glucose spike, and then it will crash very quickly. So you can eat a donut for 500 calories and then not be full at all. So how many times does that happen? You eat a Krispy Kreme donut and then you need another breakfast after that, right?
Yeah.
So with whole grains, there's something in it called fiber. Have you ever heard of fiber before?
Yes.
You have heard of fiber. So there's lots of fiber from that outer casing of the grain in whole grains. And that's what we want to shoot for because that's what keeps us full. So in the morning, you had a bowl of oatmeal. Did you feel full after your oatmeal? I know you did because oatmeal has a ton of fiber. Other good things too, like iron in it, and we can talk about that if you're interested. But lots of good healthy things in whole grains that keep us full, give us vitamins and minerals. So what the government, the USDA recommends is that a quarter of our plate is going to be that some sort of whole grain throughout the day. We should actually strive for all of our grains throughout the day, at least half of them to be whole grains. So what that means is that not everything you eat has to be a whole grain. There's room for, your cookies and your brownies and the things that we discussed, but just not every single carbohydrate you have throughout the day should be that dessert. Okay? And then up in the corner, as you can see in this picture, up in the corner, that's going to be a low-fat dairy. And most of our dairy throughout the day should be low-fat. Does that mean anything to you? Give an example of what low-fat dairy would be.
Trying to think of specific. Probably just kind of like when you're saying lean meat, like a little bit of like the less. I don't know. Maybe I don't have a full understanding of it because I kind of get it, but not to a
Okay,
full.
sure. So, so there's going to be fat in dairy because it comes from an animal. So that fat is how milk is made. So whole milk or things like that are going to have a lot of fat. And that's not all going to be good fat. So whenever we're thinking of ways to lose weight, ways to cut back, shooting for skim milks or low-fat milks, and on every container it should say something like that on it. Or with yogurts, cheeses, things like that. We want to shoot for a low-fat option most of the time. There's room for whole milk if you really enjoy it. But that would be the differentiation. There's just going to be fat that is removed in the low-fat products. Okay. So, I mean, I know you had whole milk yesterday. Totally fine. There's room for that. But something to keep in the back of our heads is that the healthier option per se, something with less fat, if you are watching that number, which we can talk about later. If you decide to watch that number, shooting for skim options would be the best choice with dairy. So that covers the bases of our My Plate. Just for the sake of learning, so I can make sure you understand, could you give me just a quick visual or just kind of repeat the things that I just told you about the plate?
I think just having, again, like balance. So having the four corners, having the meat, but also the grain. I think that's what really, I guess, surprised me because I didn't think of having that for every meal or just like
every plate looking like that. Like, so we look back through our days and I'm like, whew, sometimes I just threw some random stuff together. Which is fine. There's certainly balance, but go ahead.
I just think having the balance and just having, like, you're saying, like, half whole and half, I guess white, you could say, well, not like white as more processed than the regular, but just having a balance. So being able to put my like priority of the whole grains and then being able to focus like, okay, making sure I got that first, and then I think having like the desserts and all their stuff to supplement it after.
Right.
And then just having different corners, like having the veggies, but also having the meat. So just having that balance.
Yes. So on the other side of the plate, something I wanted to talk about too. Half the plate should be fruits and vegetables, or we want to shoot for that.
Yeah.
Every time we have a meal. So with that, you want to shoot for all the colors of the rainbow. It's a good rule of thumb. So making sure that we get dark leafy greens, colorful fruits, maybe even some colorful veggies like carrots and things like that. Is that something you're comfortable with choosing? You have a good idea of the diverse fruits and vegetables that you like to eat?
Yeah, I think just after you describing it to help me understand just the importance of it, but also just knowing like to look for it, I think, just not letting it pass by, kind of what you're saying, like knowing that there's grace and there's going to be times that I mess up, but also knowing that like I can shoot for it.
It's not a rigid set rule. Yeah, of course. So that keeping that structure in mind, we can sort of move on to maybe certain limits or you know what you want to shoot for your carbohydrates and your proteins and things like that each day, and how to read a food label too.
Awesome.
So I will move on to this graphic. Cover this really quick. So this is a graphic from MyPlate, USDA's MyPlate, so what we just discussed. They put out lots of informational material like this. I have some other websites and things that I can refer you, other references to look at. But when we're looking at a food label, here is an example of two comparisons side by side. Just point out some words that are familiar to you.
I think I didn't understand at first what saturated and trans always meant. So just that distinction. I still don't fully understand, I guess, but I can kind of tell, I guess, when something looks not as good or not as bad. In that aspect, I think just the sodium level of the comparison, just like seeing the difference of that. And it's crazy that the carbs are even the same, even though something else could change in it.
Yeah. It's a good observation.
I think that kind of surprised me.
Sure.
Looking at it at first. But yeah, I think just also too with looking at the vitamins and stuff, just realizing that they're included. I think we can often like forget too that maybe they're not always present. But just having like the percentages and stuff there. Just like reaffirms that it can, be the same or the right choice.
Yeah. So does everything up top, such as serving sizes, calories, fat, all of this amount per serving, does all of that make sense to you? Is it something that you're comfortable reading?
Yeah, I think maybe not to the extent of calories, but I think serving size, just knowing that that's like the suggested amount, but I can always like go under or over. But then obviously that's going to change how many calories per serving I'm intaking.
Right.
So just I guess maybe a little bit more clarification on calories.
As far as what would be a good or a bad option. Okay.
Like a good amount.
We can talk about that for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. You've given me a lot of good insight on sort of your knowledge level already. So I'll touch on some of the things that we discussed. So with serving sizes, you should know that if the serving size is 1 cup, but there's 2 servings in the container, what should you do to all of the numbers on the sheet? Does that make sense? That's kind of a tricky question. So if there are 2 servings per container, but there's only 1 cup in the serving size, does that mean that all of this is what you would eat if you ate everything in the container?
No.
Okay. So what would you do to all of these numbers if you saw that?
Multiply it by how many?
By 2. Yeah. So that's a common misconception. I just wanted to cover that.
Gotcha.
A lot of people will see, oh man, 160 calories. Yeah, I'm gonna eat all of this. There's nothing in there. And then there's actually 3 servings, and it's so small. So that's something that personally I feel needs to stick out a little bit more in the nutrition label, but just making sure you're aware of that first.
Cool.
So once we start with there, we know, okay, there's 1 serving size in this entire container. So all these numbers are what we're working with. Awesome.
Gotcha.
So now the next thing we're gonna check is, obviously the calories are huge.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about calories, you filled out a survey before you came in here, giving me your goals, your height, your weight, things like that. And by using the Harris-Benedict equation, which is just a fancy calculated equation that we use, I came out with about 850 calories for you to lose close to 1.5 pounds a week, which is what you indicated your goal was before you came in. So if we're thinking that our calorie goal is about 1,850, eating 160 calories won't make a large dent. So when we're looking at the calorie amounts, it's not necessarily things that we can or can't have. It's just knowing that we have this pile of 1,850 calories. Everything we eat will chip away at that. So just making wise decisions throughout the day. And if you know you've got a really great dinner planned with friends,
Mm-hmm.
maybe not having, a huge French toast breakfast that's going to
Yeah.
eat away all your calories if you know you want to enjoy a nice dinner later.
Yeah.
So not thinking about this as much as like, this is good, this is bad, this is
Yeah.
right or wrong, but just knowing that you're going to need to balance and maybe save up for those calories later on.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
After you explain it, definitely does make more sense.
Okay, awesome, sweet. So that'd be calories. You said you know what fat is,
Yes.
but saturated and trans saturated are a little tricky for you.
Mhm.
So when we think of fat, there are typically two kinds of fat. There's
Yeah.
good fat, which is an unsaturated fat, and
Mhm.
bad fat, which is saturated. So what this label does is just break up the fat that we want to get a little bit less of.
Okay.
And truly, trans fat just talks about the chemical structure of the fat
Mhm.
molecule. All that you really need to know is it's something we want to get less of. There's
Okay.
a lot of trans fat in very highly processed foods, like
Gotcha.
syrups and sugars and chips, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of trans fat in things that need to be preserved for a long time as well. So knowing that if you see maybe 1 or 2 grams of trans fat,
Yeah.
that's probably not the healthiest food option. It's not
Okay.
the wholest food.
Yeah.
So just being aware that those are things that we want to get less of. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
you should never eat it, but that is what those numbers are. And you said sodium. You
Yes.
understand what sodium is?
Yes.
You have a pretty good concept of that. Awesome. And same with carbohydrates, fibers, and sugars.
Yes.
Okay. So to you, what would be the difference in fiber or like an added sugar per se?
I guess fiber would be more of kind of what you're saying earlier about the whole grains.
Mm-hmm.
Just helping like digestion.
Mm-hmm.
When added sugars could just be a little bit extra that we're not like necessarily aware of
Yeah.
that they just add in.
Yeah. Exactly. And like we were talking about with the whole grain, it could be something that's very quickly digested.
Mm.
It's going to spike our blood glucose, and then it's
Yeah.
going to drop, and we're going to be really, really hungry
Yeah.
later on. Usually that's the sugar crash that people refer to.
Gotcha.
So knowing that fiber is something that's going to be good for digestion, but also
Mhm.
keep us full, and there's not much benefit to added sugars. So that's a good
Gotcha.
differentiation between carbohydrates. Feel good with protein and things
Yeah.
like that. And what about the vitamins and minerals? Is that something that you're interested in? Just something that you are aware of?
I think maybe just a better explanation of the differences, I guess, and like especially in this one.
Yeah. So in this example, we've got vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. And really, vitamin D and calcium are going to be for strong bones.
Okay.
You get that from milk and dairy products. Iron is found in different red meats as
Okay.
well as dark leafy greens. A lot of people are iron deficient, which if that's not something you're interested in talking about, we don't have to go very in depth with it. But being iron deficient, their body isn't able to process oxygen in their red blood cells as
Gotcha.
efficiently as other people.
Mm.
So basically, getting iron in through the diet is going to be really crucial for people like that. Now, you're not iron deficient, so that's not something we need to worry about. But just knowing that iron is found in dark leafy greens
Okay.
and mainly in meat products is where iron is found a lot of. So potassium also is another nutrient that is on most packaged goods.
Yeah.
Potassium is really high in things like avocados and bananas. It's not a nutrient that we talk about very much, but they're on food labels. So it's not something that people are typically deficient in, so you should never feel like, man, I gotta make sure there's a lot of potassium in this thing that I'm eating.
Okay.
It's not of huge concern, but if
Yeah.
it's something that you're interested in, we can definitely hit that at a later session too.
Yeah.
Okay, so just as kind of like a closing exercise, I'm going to give you these 2 products and see if you can do a little bit of differentiation between them.
Okay.
So this is kind of like a scavenger hunt. We've got these 2 bars here for you.
Yes.
So which one, say that you've only got a little bit of room left in your day for your calorie limit that you want to stick to, which bar would you choose?
I would say probably the Laura bar, just because it has less calories
Mm-hmm.
and they're both 1 serving size, so I know not to multiply.
There you go, yeah.
And it's a little bit lower in saturated fat and
Okay.
trans fat. And then the fiber content as well, and the protein content is higher.
Is higher in which bar?
The Laura bar.
Okay. So if you, let's say you just had a workout and you know that you need some protein,
Mhm.
which bar would you select?
Oh wait, maybe not. I am wrong.
No, it's fine.
I was like, I didn't read it right.
And there's really small print on that, but I had a feeling there was one that had a lot more protein.
Okay. So this one does have more protein.
Okay.
But in regards to, I guess, the other ingredients, this one would be the better
That's
choice.
what you would select.
But I think this one maybe would be more filling.
Yes, yeah, so that's awesome.
So I
Everything
think
we
I'd
talked
pick
about
this.
would probably keep us full.
Yeah.
Protein and the caloric limit in this one would probably keep us full a little longer, but that would be a great quick snack to choose also.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you did a great job. You
Thank
passed
you.
the test. So just to close out the session, I'll kind of hit on the things we talked about
Awesome.
and ask you how you feel about reading food labels now.
Yeah.
So could you sort of describe to me the importance of the things that we talked about today and how that would fit into just your
Yeah.
daily habits?
Well, I think just even going back to, I feel like I, first of all, know a lot more on the food labels, like how to read them and what to look for. But I think just even going back to why I came, just like realizing that definitely the serving size with the calories and knowing that if it's different, I do need to be aware of that. But I think also just thinking long term, not just eating it because I'm like hungry in the moment, but trying to like plan for my day or having a better understanding of just how many like calories or just like a quick understanding of like what I'm putting in my body before I do it. So I just think planning better. I feel more confident with like reading labels now and just being able to kind of almost have like a rough draft of what to eat per meal, and definitely feel more confident, which is a good thing.
Yay,
So.
that's so good to hear. That's my next question was how well you feel like this met your goal. So as far as reading food labels specifically, on a scale of 0 to 5, how confident do you feel if you were to step into a store and be deciding between 2 different products?
I think definitely 5, just even with that,
Awesome.
just being able to just see it and just being able, okay, like I have to look for this or look for that.
Right.
Just being able to put 2 and 2, I think, together.
Yeah.
I definitely feel, just more confident with the right choice.
That is so cool.
So thank you for your help.
Yeah, of course. And before I let you go, so there will be obviously some setbacks, and maybe you get back and it's a crazy week, or things come up. I just wanted to help identify some of those barriers so we could troubleshoot them before you get on your way. So we did discuss, your 1,850 caloric limit per day.
Yeah.
It's not a hard limit, but it's something that you want to keep an eye on if your goal, as you stated earlier, was to lose about 1.5 pounds a week. And we also talked about reading food labels to know the amount that you're eating, as well as what those words mean on the back of labels. So what would be some barriers that would maybe prohibit you from taking the time either to read and prepare food, or from making your plate look like the My Plate that we discussed?
Yeah.
What would be some problems that might arise with that?
I think just depending on the day. So maybe I don't have enough time to plan, or I don't have enough time to go even shop for the ingredients. So just settling for a fast option, or not really thinking about it. So just being able to, I think, plan ahead and having a better understanding of that.
Yeah.
Without just like the time getting in the way, or necessarily the resources. Like maybe I just don't have like enough money that week to go out and buy certain, or the extra things, but being able to really just budget on what I have.
Yeah.
So maybe not just cooking the healthiest foods also.
Yeah. So maybe knowing that when time and money, as far as resources, are low, you are going to tend to opt for a less healthy option. Would it help for you to plan out weeks and ahead, and maybe budget a day that work will be crazy this day, or I'll most likely wake up late and I'm not going to have time to make something? Would it help to have 1 or 2 days that you sort of give yourself grace with and say, hey, this day's going to be wild and crazy, and I can commit to healthy meals and sticking to my plate, sticking to my calorie limit for 5 days out of the week, but these 2 days, we don't like to call them cheat days, but maybe these 2 days are when, I can settle for running through McDonald's at the end of the night, or just to save money,
I think definitely not making an excuse, but knowing if it happens, like that I can just be able to come back confidently, knowing that I can just like, almost not restart, but being able to just pick up like where I left off.
Yeah. So you do feel like you wouldn't be necessarily too hard on yourself if those problems did arise?
I think I feel better like about it.
Yeah. Since we discussed, hey, it's okay. There's not
Yeah.
always bad foods. There's not always good foods. There's wiggle room, and we can always come back the next week and debrief how this plan has worked for you thus far.
Awesome.
I
would love that.
Okay. Well, you did great today. I feel like you learned a lot. You clearly learned a lot. You went from a 2 to a 5 as far as reading food labels. And so I have these handouts for you that you can take with you.
Perfect.
Here is My Plate that we discussed. Then here's the food label sheet with the definitions of
Awesome.
things to read on the back. So
Awesome.
you also get these 2 snacks as an incentive. So thanks for coming
Thank
today.
you so much.
Yeah, of course. Enjoy your granola bars, and I will walk you out.
Awesome.
So nice to meet you, Alexa.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.